Welcome. In this video, we'll explore cognitivism, a powerful way of understanding how we learn. Let's dive in and discover how our minds make meaning, one thought at a time. Before we continue, please know that part of this video was made in collaboration with ASU's Ed Plus voice generator tool. Let's dive in. Noam Chomsky is best known as a linguist and cognitive scientist, and he played a key role in shifting how we think about learning and the mind. His work became especially influential in the 1950s, when behaviorism was still the dominant theory in psychology. He argued that language learning is too complex for behaviorism to explain. For example, children often say things like, "I goed," instead of "I went," showing they're creating mental rules, not just copying. Chomsky proposed the language acquisition device, an innate system in the brain that allows humans to learn language. He also introduced the idea of universal grammar, suggesting we're all born with internal structures that guide language learning. These ideas helped spark the cognitive revolution, shifting focus from observable behavior to the mental processes behind learning, like perception, memory, and problem solving. In terms of learning theory, Chomsky's influence reinforced the idea that learning is an active internal process. It's not just about being conditioned by the environment. Learners bring their prior knowledge, mental structures, and meaning-making skills to the table. So overall, Chomsky helped shift the spotlight from observable behavior to the cognitive processes that drive real learning, an essential foundation of modern instructional design and cognitive learning theory. Unlike behaviorism, which focuses mainly on external responses to stimuli, cognitivism dives deeper. It sees learning as an active process where we're constantly organizing, processing, and storing information. Imagine your mind as a thoughtful librarian, carefully making sense of new knowledge and placing it exactly where it belongs. Cognitivism emerged as a response to the limitations of behaviorism, which often overlooked the powerful roles of motivation, emotion, and the internal thought process. It invites us to consider, how do we make meaning out of what we learn, and how can understanding these mental pathways help us grow? Let's look at a few other important people who helped shape the idea of cognitivism. First, Jean Piaget. He believed that children learn by doing and experiencing the world. As they grow, they go through 4 stages of thinking that help them understand more and more. Next is Jerome Bruner. He thought learning should match a child's stage of development. He encouraged discovery, letting learners explore and find things out for themselves. And then there's David Ausubel. He believed that learning is most powerful when new ideas connect to things we already know. All three remind us that learning isn't just about facts, it's about thinking, growing, and making meaning. Cognitivism gives us helpful tools to make learning more effective and easier to understand. It encourages active listening and helps prevent cognitive overload, that feeling when there's just too much information at once. That's why content is often broken into smaller chunks. It makes things easier to remember. Cognitivism also supports using different formats, like pictures, words, and conversations, so learners can connect with the material in more than one way. It also reminds us how important it is to review and practice, so ideas really stick. One key idea here is schema theory. It means we use what we already know, our mental filing system, to understand and make sense of new information. In short, good learning builds on what we know in ways that are clear, meaningful, and just the right size. In cognitivism, learning isn't something that just happens to us. It's an active process. To really learn, we need to pay attention, use our memory, and solve problems along the way. Our minds are always working behind the scenes, making sense of what we hear, see, and do. This idea connects to David Ausubel's concept of meaningful learning. He believed that for new knowledge to stick, it needs to connect to things we've already experienced or learned. So, when we link new ideas to familiar ones, we're not just memorizing, we're truly understanding. Cognitivism helps us understand how the mind organizes and uses knowledge. One important idea is schemata. These are mental structures that help us make sense of new information by connecting it to things we already know. It's like having a map in your mind that grows with each new experience. Jean Piaget also gave us the stages of cognitive development, showing how thinking changes as we grow. From birth to age 2, in the sensorimotor stage, babies learn by touching, moving, and exploring. From 2 to 7, the preoperational stage begins, where children use symbols and language but still have trouble seeing other points of view. From 7 to 11, in the concrete operational stage, kids start to think logically about real-world things. And from 11 onward, during the formal operations stage, abstract and hypothetical thinking becomes possible. Another key voice is Robert Gagné, who outlined 9 conditions of learning. These include steps like grabbing attention, giving guidance, and offering feedback, all designed to support how we process and remember information. Together, these ideas remind us, learning isn't one size fits all. Cognitivism has many strengths that make it a powerful approach to learning. First, it promotes deep understanding. When new information connects to what we already know, it becomes more meaningful and easier to remember. It also supports higher-order thinking. Rather than just memorizing facts, learners are encouraged to think critically, ask questions, and solve problems. And finally, cognitivism offers structured learning experiences that align with how our brains naturally process information. This thoughtful approach helps learners absorb and retain knowledge in a way that truly lasts. Even though cognitivism is helpful, it does have some challenges. First, it depends a lot on what learners already know. If someone doesn't have the right background, they might struggle to understand new ideas. That means teachers may need to give extra help. Second, it can take a lot of time and resources to plan lessons that work for everyone. Making sure each learner gets what they need isn't always easy. And third, cognitivism often uses set learning goals. While structure is good, this can sometimes limit creativity and make it harder to adjust as learning needs change. So, while cognitivism is a strong approach, it works best when used with care and flexibility. Cognitivism has important lessons for how we design instruction. First, it encourages a learner-centered approach. That means focusing on how learners think, understand, and process information, not just on rewards or outcomes. Next, it reminds us to look closely at both the task and the learner. What do they already know? What are they ready for? This helps us choose the right kind of activities to support real learning. And finally, it promotes meaningful learning. When instruction connects to learners' needs, real-life goals, and future skills, it sticks and helps them grow in ways that last. In short, good instructional design doesn't just teach, it supports, connects, and inspires. It values structured learning, helping learners connect new ideas to what they already know. This leads to deeper understanding. It also encourages using different strategies, like showing examples, solving problems together, using memory tools, or mapping out ideas. Variety keeps learning engaging and effective. While it focuses on the learner, it also recognizes a teacher's important role, organizing content in a way that makes sense and helps ideas stick. And when it comes to complex topics, cognitivism recommends clear explanations, helpful visuals, and real-world examples to make the learning feel practical and real. All of these approaches aim to create learning that's thoughtful, meaningful, and lasting. Cognitivism is especially useful in K-12 classrooms because it helps students connect what they're learning to what they already know. One great tool is the use of organizers, like KWL charts. These help students activate prior knowledge, set learning goals, and reflect on what they've learned. Concept mapping is another powerful strategy. It uses visuals to show how ideas are connected, making learning more organized and easier to remember. And finally, problem-solving activities encourage students to use what they know in new situations. This builds critical thinking skills and helps them apply learning in real life. By using these strategies, teachers can make learning more meaningful, engaging, and lasting for students at every grade level. Cognitivism works really well in college and university settings too. One helpful method is scaffolded instruction, starting with support when a topic is hard and slowly giving students more independence as they learn. It also encourages metacognitive strategies, which means helping students think about how they learn. This helps them understand and remember more. Cognitivism supports collaborative learning, working in groups so students can talk through ideas and learn from each other. With problem-based learning, students solve real-world problems. This helps them think critically and apply what they've learned. Using clear examples and analogies also makes hard topics easier to understand. And finally, giving frequent feedback helps students know what they're doing well and where they can improve. These tools help students build strong thinking skills and become more confident, independent learners. Cognitivism isn't just for classrooms, it's also a great fit for training and learning in the workplace. First, it encourages active engagement. When employees take part in discussions, solve problems, or do hands-on tasks, they understand and remember more. Continuous feedback is also key. Giving timely and helpful feedback helps employees improve and strengthen their skills over time. Cognitivism supports collaborative learning too. Group projects, peer reviews, and team learning let people share ideas and learn from each other's experiences. And finally, it focuses on real-world application. Training that uses real-life examples and connects to actual job tasks helps employees use what they've learned on the job right away. This approach leads to more confident, capable teams and learning that truly sticks. Cognitivism plays a big role in how we design learning. It helps us create lessons that match the way people think, remember, and understand information. By organizing content clearly, using helpful strategies, and making learning meaningful, we can help learners stay engaged and remember what they've learned. In the end, cognitivism reminds us that learning isn't just about getting the right answer. It's about making sense of the world, one idea at a time.